Guys, it's lovely to see you again.
How are you?
And you,
I'm
long
well.
time no
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I feel like I can't begin my year properly without talking to you two because it's been like a continuous thing. So it's like I can't really start
Has
2023 until I've spoken
Is
to
that a
Stuart and
good
Kate
thing?
about
since the dawn of
yeah,
time
it's
Yeah.
had these yearly chats.
these yearly chats for this show. Season
Thank
three.
you.
Here we are. Season three. Are you
Yeah.
still got your head around the fact that you've not only done one season, but now you're 3 seasons deep, and the show seems to be getting bigger. And I went on YouTube to look at some of your videos earlier, and some of these fan videos that have been made about the relationship between you two on the screen and everything else
What
just
fan videos?
seems to be going mad. Of you two getting together, and all these little
Right,
there's
right.
videos of
Yeah,
just like your glances
Have
and you
you
showing
have you seen any
the
of
TV
them?
show out of it.
Oh, I actually there is some really nice ones
with
to
some
to
really
music
heavy
that
underscoring.
yeah, I'm going to use that for my
Yeah.
show reel. I am genuinely like, how can I share this? How can this music video? They're really nice.
Yeah, there was one I saw earlier which was uh Scarlett and William, they belong together, and it had like 375,000 views or something stupid. And it was just these little glances of you two in the show and a nice bit of music underneath, and all these hearts coming up on the screen, and just being like,
I
will
love it.
they? Will
We
they? Is
have
that the
got
show? What's going
that
on?
was the one that I made.
That's one that you
That was
made.
one of mine as well. I did that one.
Well done.
Yeah,
That's great
exactly.
editing skills.
My fan videos that I do. It's lovely. I
um,
mean, we got amazing fans. It's really lovely who are following it as we all are to see where they will go together, and what will happen between them and in the world.
Indeed. Take me, maybe Kate, I'll chuck this to you first. Take me back to when you first got the scripts for this, because I know obviously we spoke when you were promoting season one, and obviously at season one, you're hoping that people will find the show and see it and everything else. But take me back to the first day. And did you think on that first day that you were going to be sitting here 3, 4 years later talking about all these episodes and kind of all the relationships with the characters and the fact that you've got so many fans across the world now that have taken to the show?
First day of season one, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all. And I think the whole sort of makeup of the creative team has gone on its own sort of journey since that. When was it? 2019 when we were shooting in Dublin. We've now moved. We're now shooting in Belgrade. With tons of different regular characters in the world now, and to be honest with you, I think like most actors, when you stumble across a job like this, the world was so sort of like was just so made up. Like you knew just from the script the kind of show you were stepping into, and that's true of each scene. It's so sort of well visualized on the page that it's always just really fun to jump in. So I think even just from day one, I was just so sort of thrilled to be there. You don't really think about where you might be in 5 years' time. I'm just really pleased that we keep making the show, and that we all still really enjoy making it, which is the case. We all really have a really good time.
Yeah, I guess it's a good surprise as well, isn't it? I'll chuck that same question to you, Stuart, in the sense that you hope that people were going to see it. You're making it for people to see, but then I guess you can't ever prepare for, more seasons and then more fans as the show goes on, particularly now in an age where people watch their television very, very differently to what they did 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's always just such I always remember thinking that you're like lucky to get to do one episode of something or a character, and then anything else is kind of a bonus. Do you know what I mean? Like that thing that Kate's saying, where you go, this we've got a season here, it's all fleshed out. It's it comes full circle in that one season, and each time when we've got to do more, it's been such a bonus, and it lets you approach it in a new way. Each season you get to sort of try something new. It's your character goes on a different journey or whatever. So it's nice to really develop your character and to see what else is there, which we've both been really lucky to do on this show. I feel like we've got to delve really deeply into them and sort of mine out more of these characters.
I guess as well, when I was talking to some guys yesterday who have just started a show called The Power, which is on Amazon Prime in a couple of weeks, and they were talking yesterday
Yeah.
about, you know, doing the show, and then during COVID, and now, you know, in kind of a social media age, you kind of, there's an immediacy to reactions, whereas again, television over the years and films, it wasn't quite like that. Have you guys, because I know you guys are on social media a little bit, have you been able to have really good interactions with fans? Just, you know, sometimes that could be a poison chalice, but I guess with something like this show, I'm sure you've only had positivity, which is a fantastic thing and helps you in terms of the show, knowing that people are enjoying it and taking a lot from it.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to be offended when it comes to this show, and I think if people are tuning in, it's just because they want to have a nice time, and yeah, we've only ever had really positive feelings about it, which so, you know, it's probably not a healthy thing to do, but every now and again I might like just check out the comments, and people tend to be very nice about it. So that's obviously
Anytime
nice.
you're a bit low and you need a little pep up.
Yeah, why not? I might just
Go on and have a look.
yeah, just gonna have a little look.
I know this. It's funny. There's a rule. There's a rule of like, don't you know, just don't go online when the show's like, whatever you do, don't sort of search the show just in case you read something bad. But actually, like with Scarlet, it's really lovely. We get such a really lovely response from the viewers and the fans and the Scarleteers. I've got a shout out to Scarleteers. But it's such a lovely thing, isn't it? That is, you sort of can go on and have a look and see how closely they're following it. It's lovely.
We say this before season 3 has aired.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, don't open your Instagrams in a couple of weeks
Yeah.
when it starts.
Exactly.
And now obviously season 3, season 2, obviously there was ups and downs and overs and unders with these two, and obviously fans have had their say about what the future holds. When you get the, obviously I presume you did that on season 2, but now season 3, you've obviously delving a lot into the characters. They've been with you for a few years now. Are you still excited and surprised just where Rachel and everybody else has taken their characters? Because I guess in some respects they want to keep you on your toes and give you something unexpected, given that you're 3 years in.
Yeah, I'm amazed by the story writing on this show, because what they do so cleverly, that each individual episode kind of can exist on its own, and the storylines are so clever. I mean, so we have a WhatsApp group, and as soon as the scripts come through, both Stu and I you know, we're reading it at different times, but we're sort of coming in being like, oh my god, episode 3, I can't believe how you even got there, what were you doing? So I mean, just on that level, it's really thrilling. But and then what's great is that you have this like through line of their characters, their journey, and maybe Eliza's journey with Ivy, or and Nash, who you see a lot more of in season 3. So yeah, there's still so much to be mined there, I think, which I think I approach it sometimes as a viewer, Mike. You know, I'm not really a writer at heart, so I'm as excited, and I think Stu is too. Like, we're both as sort of excited to find out what happens next as anyone sitting at home.
Yeah, and it's funny when you said that about you know, do you know what's coming up? We actually don't. We sort of don't ask, which is quite nice. You want to read it fresh. So there's some really lovely stuff in season 3, really, you know, great little twists, and you get to read them first time. Whereas if Rach had sort of told us what was coming up in the season, we sort of lose that fresh read like a viewer has. So it's a really nice way of doing it. I think that you get to discover that as you go with Rachel's scripts.
Yeah, I do like as well in this social media age that every time I do these interviews with like big cast, there's always a WhatsApp group. I always like it's not, you haven't completed the cast kind of bingo card without having a WhatsApp group where you can all talk to each other, which is kind of cool. Is there a GIF of choice? Is there a GIF that you guys send? Because you guys are now GIFs as well on WhatsApp, I've discovered in the last,
that's right.
few days.
We just mostly send GIFs of ourselves.
Yeah, but I've never once sent a gift ever. A gift. This is why I've never once sent a gift. I don't know how to do it.
Send me one now. I'll send you one.
Yeah.
You send me one.
I'll send a photo.
Gifting. which is not
This
what
is
it's
this is
called.
live.
Gifting,
This is live. This
gifting,
is happening.
gifting.
Okay, Stuart Martin.
There you
Click
go.
on the smiley face on WhatsApp, and then it brings up at the bottom. There's a
Okay.
little gift thing. There
Hey,
you
well,
go.
you just sent me one. That hasn't. That's not that. This is the worst lesson in the world, Stuart. You just
I
sent
sent
me.
you one.
This is the.
I sent. I sent.
There you are.
Yes,
You
yes,
see,
dear.
We do
you are.
exist.
I only message in gifts from Miss Scarlet and the Duke now. There's one
That's what
for
you should
everything.
do for
For
everything.
emotion.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know you've made it when someone like Tom Cruise messages you and he sends you a gif of you as Scarlet and the Duke. That's what
Of
it is.
himself. No, exactly.
No,
That's all he has to say.
I think you know you've made it if Tom Cruise is sending you any kind of message.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what?
It's
I've
not
met
a
him a
stop.
couple of times. He seems he seems to know a lot. Like he always picks a lot of people. You're like he picked Rebecca Ferguson from the show that she did from I think it was on Stars or something or whatever because he watches like a film a day and a TV series a day. I don't know how he
Is
finds it.
that
I don't think
right?
he even sleeps. I don't think he sleeps. That
Well,
guy.
listen, next time you see him, yeah, Tom, tell him to watch Miss Scarlet and the Duke. He's probably all watched it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
What's it like shooting in Belgrade? That's a fun thing to do because I know when we first spoke to you, you were shooting in Ireland, and obviously the pandemic happened and everything else, and a lot of things have changed. How is it filming in Belgrade? Because that must be a beautiful place to do this stuff and a great setting for the show.
Yeah, it's incredible. Sorry, Stuart, I just jumped in, but it does now feel like a home from home because we were there for 6 months last year and then we came back in another 3 months. So I mean I love it, and the crew there are just dreamy. They're amazing. They're amazing. They're incredibly skilled and just great people. And I think I don't know whether it's like it feels to me like there's a cultural thing in Serbia where like if people come to their country that it's so important to them that you are made to feel welcome. So that kind of feels like that's what happens from like the moment we step off the plane, actually, like from the moment, you know, every sort of minute of our day is considered by someone else, but you know, I mean, it's extraordinary what a well-oiled machine it is when we're around Belgrade. And that's not to say it's not on any other job, but it's just, you know, there's just something really beautiful about working there, and the city itself is so beautiful and the people are so great. So yeah, it's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've played these characters for a number of years now. Is it you found it? I mean, I can imagine you found it a rewarding experience, but I guess for 3 years, like you said before, you want to be kept on your toes a little bit. But did you see the trajectory for each of them in terms of not just them as separate characters, but their relationship? Are you kind of like the audience in the sense of you kind of don't, like you say, you don't want to know whether they will or won't they, and all the other stuff in between. It kind of keeps you on your toes as well in terms of as performers that you don't quite know where it's going.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives you that, it lets it, the minute they become comfortable, it's less exciting for an audience, and it's sort of less exciting for you as an actor. And these characters are so great because they're constantly sort of getting so close, and then something sort of comes in the way and stops that. So that's really lovely. You're constantly getting to sort of go from one side to the other in scenes. So it's never really safe, you know. It never feels like you know what you're doing. So it's really nice. It's a good challenge, I think.
Yeah, actually, you're so right. It does feel like that, and I still feel like as you know, were we to keep working on this show, it feels like there's so much more I want to do with the character, and I think that's quite rare. I feel like we haven't, you know, there's still more like comedy to be found. Like I'm only just learning how funny she can be, and you know that you know how all those dynamics play out. So you know, every time we get another chance to do it, it's like, okay, let's try this. So it feels really playful in that way.
I was going to say one of my favorite things is your waistcoat attire. I feel like the waistcoats is a very strong thing. I like the opportunity to wear a waistcoat. It's very rare. It's very rare.
I
But the
love a
costumes on
waistcoat.
this show are just incredible. I can imagine that's part of the fun that you get to not only step into this era, this period, but you get to wear these amazing costumes, which I can imagine is a fantastic opportunity and a fun thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the lovely things about moving to Serbia. You know, the craft of the costumes and the craft of the world that was created season one, to then sort of transport that to Serbia, where there's no Victorian, or sorry, there's no British Victorian buildings. There's not, you know, the whole style of Serbia is totally different, and the craftsmanship that went into recreating the costumes, the whole design, the sets, which they literally kind of rebuilt smudge for smudge. The colorings were all identical. That sort of blows my mind, and that is one of the things that just sort of keeps it so fascinating. You get to step into this world that, you know, outside the door it's a set, and the backlot that they built to recreate Victorian London and our sort of Dublin sets was amazing. So yeah, that is really exciting.
It must be fun for you as well, Kate, to wear Scarlet's get up. And so there's an evolution with the costumes as well. You know, as you're going over these 3 seasons, the costumes have kind of, not that you're superheroes or anything like that. I just mean in terms of, like, you know, the period and everything else. You're becoming more comfortable and everything else. That must be a really fun, a part of the character as well. You know, the costumes form such an
Yeah.
important part of the characters.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly when I mean, this is true. I think if you're playing a character from a period that isn't now as well. I mean, those costumes, I never underestimate the impact of like being in your fitting for your you know the fitting, your costume fitting, and suddenly you're like, oh yes, no, this is who she is again. You know, maybe like a year's gone by, and your one's amazing costume designer, Monica, who's been working on seasons 2 and 3 and 4. Just the way she sort of realizes what has to happen next, and you're like, oh my god, that's so clever, and yeah, and of course that makes me feel this and that. And there's a dress that I wore at the end of season 2, which was there was a lot of discussion about this dress because it really is a big departure for Eliza, because she's sort of, there's a bit of skin on display, and it's very unlike any of the very structured outfits that she's worn in the past. But actually it was amazing because I didn't really realize it until I stepped on set wearing this dress, that it made me feel incredibly vulnerable, because she's just, and that's not like her uniform. It's the power of wearing costume, and the kind of the way it can inform your characters. I find it every time is kind of astonishing.
Yeah. The big question then to finish with, and obviously fans have obviously, you know, made all these videos and talked about the future of these two and whether will they, won't they, all that kind of stuff. For you personally as actors, can you see them coming together, or can you understand why maybe they might not? Because, you know, there's a lot of, I think there's a line of dialogue about compromise, or one of you spoke about, you know, the characters have to compromise and all that kind of stuff, that maybe that's not the end game. Can you see them getting together, or can you understand why they might not get together?
Well, that's it. It's on the edge, really. I can totally see why they will and believe that they will, and then I can also see that, you know, it's complicated, and it's whether they sort of push beyond that and get past that complication and work it out, which you see happening all the time. So we'll have to wait and see.
I feel like there's an element of Dawson's Creek. I don't know. I feel like I watch it. I like, and I follow the story like a fan. So I really want them to get together. But I, you know, maybe just a bit more. You know, they just, and like I said, I said this before, haven't I? But they need to just do a bit more learning. I think as sort of as brilliant and as bright as Eliza is, I think there's a lot of emotional learning and growing she has to do. Really, she's still quite young, I
They
think.
can grow together, Kate.
That's true.
Which they are doing, to be fair. They learn so much from each other, you know. They're just they'll work it out. They'll work it out.
Yeah.
So maybe series 5, if you get one, wedding bells. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Keep everyone on
Well, we'll
tenterhooks.
see.
That's good.
We'll see.
That's kind of good. Guys, it's always lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much again for your time. Good luck with season 3.
Lovely to chat to you. Cheers, Scott.
Hopefully see you for season 4 when it
Yeah.
comes
Yes.
around. Have a good one.
See you.
Thank you.
Scott, this is always the best. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers,
Appreciate
Scott.
it. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey,